from Sky News Australia, Antifa aims to abolish United States. Sabi po ni Andingo. Pangalan po ito ng isang journalist, Andingo. Parang Vietnamese siguro to. Itong libro niya, ang titulo Unmasked, hits #1 bestseller siya, mga kababayan. Kasi in-unmask niya kung ano ang motivation ng Antipacto. Sabi niya, mga kababayan, the motivation of the Antipacto is to abolish USA, destroy the government of America. Kaya sabi ko sa inyo, yung kinikwento ko many times, America is being destroyed from within because America is controlled by the enemy of Americans. And these people, the same American people, only that allied with the enemies of America and American people, kasi po ang gusto nila buong mundo. And that's the reason why lahat ng mga statwa. Ano yung statwa? Ribulto. Yung mga ribulto na pinagawa. Statwa. Ng mga previous leaders ng Amerika, pinagdi-destroy nila. They want to delete the history of America. Yan po yun. Pakinggan po ninyo itong interview sa kanya ng Sky News Australia.
So what then is the political program of Antifa? I mean, we know that it's very, very violent, that they target anybody who they perceive to be on the right, and they also target government buildings. What do they want? What is their goal? What do they want to happen? Or is it just simply they want chaos and violence?
The end goal is to abolish the United States, to overthrow.
The end goal is to abolish. Ngayon, nagtatanong kayo, Mr. Maravillas, niya, magtatagumpay ba sila? Magtatagumpay po. They will succeed. As they succeeded, mga kababayan, in expelling their enemy, the last trumpet, Mang Donald. America is controlled by the enemy of the Americans. Yon ang nakaupo ngayon. Pagmasdan ninyo po si Bygone. Pagmasdan ninyo. And once they succeeded, mga kababayan, in destroying America, the allies of Bygone will shift their eyes with the rest of the world once nag-crumble po ang Amerika. Maniwala kayo sa hindi, ganon ang script nila. And America will be a thing of the past. Kala ninyo? Naglilingkod sa inyo dyan, ay, mga Americans. Alam ng maraming mga Americans ganon. And mamaya, may isa ditong ipi-play pa ako, yung congressman nila. Ito muna.
The U.S. government, so they should be treated as an anti-government domestic terrorist movement, organization, ideology, and currently they've been given cover in the mainstream press, in academia, in every institution in America, because people don't understand the ideology. When you look at their literature, they're calling for the destabilization of local governments, and to some effect, they've had a lot of power in the Pacific.
Kita ninyo? So, hindi lang ako nagsasabi ng their objective is globalization. He's a journalist. Search ninyo, Sky News Australia. Antifa aims to abolish United States by ending Ngo. He's a journalist and an author. Kung ano ang kininto ko po sa inyo, yun ang kinikwento niya. Sinulat pa niya sa libro. Sabi ko sa inyo. And we are concerned about the future of America. Kasi po, America is a friend of our country. And most Filipinos admired America. They have the so-called American dream. That is why napakarami yung mga kababayan natin nandyan sa Amerika. Mga viewers natin, marami dyan sa Amerika. Kinikwento ko sa inyo kasi ito po ang future ng Amerika. America will be going down the drain. It is being drained by their officials themselves. Taranta yung isang congressman, mamaya i-play ko po yung
Pacific Northwest.
Yung sinasabi niya.
Need to remind people who are watching that last year, Antifa and BLM actually seized territory in Seattle, Washington for more than 3 weeks, and it led to multiple homicides and shootings.
Kaya po dyan sa Amerika, mga kababayan ko, wag na kayong umasa na yung nakaupo dyan, sasawayin. Yung antipakto, hindi man nila sasawayin. Sige yan. Tuloy lang kayo, tandaan niyo yan dyan. Kaya lang, sabi ko sa inyo, mag-ingat lang po kayo dyan sa neighborhood ninyo kasi pahirap ng pahirap ang mga susunod na mga araw, mga kababayan. So, this time, i-play ko po sa inyo itong statement ng isang congressman. Hindi ko rin maintindihan yung pangalan niya. Hindi ko maintindihan. Baka kilala ninyo ito dyan sa Amerika. Congressman, I think Republican siguro siya. Pakinggan po niyan sinasabi niya.
Hey everybody, this is Bill Huizenga, obviously.
Bill Huizenga. Huizenga siguro po ang pangalan niya. Kilala ninyo? Siya po, mga kababayan na nagsasalita, hindi na makapaghintay. Sasabihin ko na niya sa inyo.
In Washington, not in West Michigan, hoping to head back home this afternoon. But I got to tell you, I'm going to be walking in for our last vote here momentarily, and I am just flabbergasted that my Democrat colleagues are going to be voting affirmative on this bill, and here's one of the reasons why. This is
May bill nakapending, naka-file in Congress of America. Alam niyo ang laman ng bill? Giving financial support sa lahat ng kalaban ng Amerika. Saan ka pulutin? Yung Amerika, may mga kalaban na bansa and terrorist organizations and groups. Ang bill, nagsasabing, we allocate, hindi ilang billion, trillion US dollars to these groups, nations of the world na kalaban ng Amerika. Bantay kayo dyan sa Amerika po. Ang nakaupo mismo, pati yung mga congressmen ng Democrats mismo, sila ang
This is the state of play, where not only are we going into debt for our own country, we're now going to be going into debt for other countries. And I'm going to...
Ibig sabihin po, yung Amerika, dati nang may utang, hindi pa nga nababayaran yung utang ng Amerika para sa mga Amerikano, uutang ngayon yung Amerika para i-support sa kalaban niya. Pinasok ng demonyo. Yung mismong Amerika, mga kababayan. Kaya sinasabi ko, it is, being destroyed from within. Sabi ko sa inyo.
This is kind of a little awkward, but I'm going to read a statement that I had intended to read on the House floor, but the Democrat majority limited our time this morning of 1 minute, and so I wasn't able to get that done.
Parang dito din sa atin, kailang iba yung, hindi tayo yung uutang tayo para isupport sa mga kalaban natin na kung sino. Hindi ganon. Kundi uutang tayo ng pera para ibakulaw. Ganon din ang epekto.
Oh, I'm going to do it here with you now, and then we're going to talk a little bit about this. So here's my statement that I intend on the House floor. I rise in opposition to the partisan bill we have been debating the past couple of days. Under language inserted at the Rules Committee, the U.S. would direct the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, to lavish $3 trillion on countries around the world.
30 trillion US dollars, mga kababayan, ang pinag-uusapan.
This is a permanent, no-strings-attached liquidity for foreign governments. The Democrats' bill would therefore send it at least $20 billion to the world's foremost state sponsor of terrorism, Iran. It means
Pati yung kalaban, yung state, yung bansa na identified as state-sponsored yung terrorism, magbibigay yung Amerika ngayon sa Iran. Sabi ko sa inyo, with by God, the conflict in the Middle East will explode, mga kababayan. Yung peace doon sa Middle East na pinirmahan ni sinulong ng dating Presidente Mang Donald. Remember, mga kababayan, the objective ng Iran to wipe out from the face of the earth Israel. Bantay kayo dyan. So, kukumbulsyon po ang conflict sana. One of the agenda ng mga Kabbalearns, sabi ko sa inyo, is to unleash a limited nuclear exchange. In the Middle East, hindi man po ina-admit ng Israel, pero they believe that Israel is armed with nuclear weapons. And Iran, mga kababayan, sinasabing nagde-develop pa lang. And with the support of America, na dati Israel siya ang support, ayaw niya sa Iran kasi state-sponsored terrorism siya. Mababago yun po. Bakit? Mangungutang nga po yung Amerika to support Iran.
means at least $17 billion for the Assad regime in Syria. There's
Pati sa Syria.
also more than $170 billion for the Chinese Communist Party as it
Kita ninyo. Pati yung China na dati ng mayaman is rising power. An enemy, perceived enemy of America, because America is capitalism, capitalist country, communist yung Ang funder na ngayon Amerika. Bakit po? Magbabayad ng utang na loob si Biden sa China. And the Democrats actually, ang agenda nila, sabi ko sa inyo, to establish all throughout the world a government like China But 100 times of China. A Marxist dictatorship all throughout the world. Ang agenda po ng mga Kabbalians, kaibigan nila yung China. Yung virus nga sabi ni Mang Donald, kaya siya pinagkaisahan at pininance yung magic. Ang tawag ni Mang Donald, Chinese virus. China virus. Ngayon, magkaisa na sila.
Takes over Hong Kong and builds internment camps and another $75 billion for Russia.
Pati yung Russia, ibigay namin sa inyo. Saan ka pulutin yan? Dati na itong mayayaman, tapos mangungutang yung Amerika para ibigay. Walang kondisyon ibigay yung pera sa Russia. Paano hindi bumagsak yung Amerika? America is controlled by her enemies. And it is being destroyed from within. Yan ang proof, mga kababayan, ito. Mismong congressman ng Amerika ang nagsasabi.
Meanwhile, an amendment I offered to prevent Americans' banks from financing Iranians who have been sanctioned for terrorism and human rights abuses wasn't even made in order by the Rules Committee.
Kita ninyo. Hindi niya. Ano na po na inulang? Hinarang anya yung motion ko. May objection. Hinarang.
Strange priorities from the Democrats. It's obscene to attach billions of dollars for China, Russia, and state sponsors of terrorism to legislation that funds our military. I urge a no vote on this bill, and I'm going to be voting no. And this is to fund our military, and we are going to be directing the IMF, which, by the way,
Ang bill, mga kababayan, the objective of the bill is to fund the US military. Pero yung bill, may mga provision doon, ito anyang amount na to, bilyon-bilyon na US dollars, ibibigay natin as financial support doon sa mga bansa. Kaaway natin. So pinapalakas mo yung kaaway mo, imbis pinapalakas mo yung iyong sariling bansa, pinifinance mo yung enemy mo. Anong klaseng pag-iisip yan? Parang yung kapitbahay mo. Kalabanan niya kita, "Hoy, enemy, halika, bigyan kita ng pambili mo ng baril ito, para ibaril sa amin." Yun. Pinapalakas mo. Iran, kalaban ng US, bigyan kita ng pera. Ang gagamitin nun, i-develop na namin, pati technology, bigyan na kita paano ma-develop yung nuclear warheads na dream ninyo dyan. This is suicide, mga kababayan. Ang ginagawa ng Amerika is a suicide. Gumagawa siya ng sarili niyang, tawag dito, digging his own grave. Hukay tayo anya ng malaking hukay, tapos tatalon tayo doon. Tapos sasabihin natin doon sa sasabihin natin doon sa mga neighbors natin, bala na kayo dito. Tacloban. Tabunan na lang ninyo kami, bambang nasa loob.
I had jurisdiction over at one point when I chaired one of the subcommittees on financial services. It was called the Monetary Policy and Trade Subcommittee. And so I'm very familiar with the IMF, very familiar with the good work it does, and very familiar with the bad work that it does. And I'm telling you, directing them to go spend $3 trillion on countries like China and
$3 trillion utangin sa IMF bibigay sa China. Sabi ko sa inyo, yung conflict dito po sa possible conflict, manalangin tayo na wag sa South China Sea. Sasaklolo sa atin yung Amerika with bygone. Asa ka pa. Ano tingin niya?
And Syria and Russia is lunacy. It's completely nuts. So
It is a completely nuts. Kabaliwan. Kontrolado ng mga baliw. Nuts. Ang Amerika.
this is a problem. We have to deal with it. I hope the Senate. I don't have great expectations out of Michigan's two senators, but I'm hoping that someone in the Senate realizes how foolish this is and what we would be doing if we moved ahead with this. And so again, no hearing in the committee. It got inserted in at the Rules Committee.
Wala na. Okay na yon. Yung mga rules nila sa committee rules, hindi na nasunod. Brinaso na. Your Honor. Mr. Chair. Objection, Your Honor. I'm raising my hand, Your Honor. Wala. Approve. Mga kababayan, that's it. Sinishare ko po sa inyo kasi nabuang na po ang mundo. Panguna po ng Amerika. Ngayon, ito po yung last topic natin na gusto kong i-share sa inyo. The Twitter launches BIRDWATCH, a liberal fact-checking feature designed to combat misinformation, but is actually meant to silence Christians and conservatives. So sinishare ko po ito sa inyo kasi magiging mahirap ang mga susunod na panahon, mga kababayan, as we are expecting noon pa. BIRDWATCH allows people to identify information in tweets they believe is misleading or false. Pag pinaliwalaan nila ang misleading and false, pag hindi ka hindi kasama sa narrative nila. Ibaan niya yung kwan mo sinasabi mo. Hindi sang-ayon sa aming sinasabi. False. Kahit totoo yung sinasabi mo, false lagi yan po. And write notes that provide informative context. Twitter Vice President of Product Kate Coleman wrote in a press release, "We believe this approach has the potential to respond quickly when misleading information spreads, adding context that people trust and find valuable. While BIRDWATCH will initially be condoned off to a separate section of the Twitter, the company said, eventually, we aim to make notes visible directly on tweets Ganun po. Ang tawag nila, birdwatch. Sabi mga kababayan sa Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 20, curse not the king, no, not in the thought, and curse not the rich in thy bedchamber, for a bird of the air. Sakto po. Twitter, yung logo niya, bird. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Sakto. O, tingnan ninyo. For a bird in the air shall carry the voice. Cat! Hindi pwede. In that which hath wing shall tell the matter. Kaya po, ang salita ng Diyos, hindi sakto, bird. Ganun po. Lahat ng mga kababayan ng mga information na perceive nila na ito anya makakasira ito sa ating plano. Kailangan delete natin. Bueno, mga kababayan, maraming salamat sa inyong pagtsatsaga.